So in today's lesson, we've had our first run through of our pronoun assessment in the theatre. So this was just looking at different spacing and getting used to the set and just having a general understanding of how far we can go because we're going to have the lights on us. At first we were going to film our little run through in the drama studio, but considering we didn't have a camera to charge on and we didn't have enough space to do it on someone else's phone, we just decided to stage the theatre instead. I think with looking at the theatre and just having a run through the theatre, it just helps to understand of how big the space actually is, and you got to make sure that you got to fill the whole space. At times you feel like you could be too far off the stage. So I remember in one scene, I think for scene 9, we were too close to the curtain, and with the lights on you need to make sure you are quite centre stage or that you're just a little bit further because you're not going to be seen then because the lights aren't going to be on you. Also, with having such a big space, you've got to make sure you project more because people at the back are not going to hear you. So you got to make sure that you project more because even though we're not going to perform it with an actual performance day and have this big massive crowd, we're still going to perform it to the dancers on Friday. So we need to make sure that we are projecting and we are delivering it from the voice, from the diaphragm even, so that dancers can understand what we're getting across and then tell a story as well. I feel like after doing this run through today, we need to work more on relationships and just connecting with each other and also energy. I feel like the run through was very dead today, like we didn't have the energy. It might run through and it was about 28 minutes long, but we need to make sure that the energy is still up so there's a nice pace. You can see a clear justification of who the characters are. So for example, you can see that Dean is quite upset in some scenes, he's quite angry and he just wants to be who he is, and he wants this relationship with Josh, and you need to make sure that this is coming across, otherwise the audience aren't going to understand it, and then when you perform it as well you're not going to feel like you're getting it across to the audience, so that makes you feel a bit down and then you lose the energy from then on. So I feel like before we go on stage, we need to think about energy, we need to think about space, we need to think about relationships as well, because if you're not getting it across on stage, the audience aren't going to understand it. I feel now, after this run through, I need to go back, look at my lines a little bit more as well. I know that I messed up a little bit, even though I learned my lines, well, most of my lines anyway, for Friday, which wasn't bad considering I found out Tuesday. I just need to make sure I know them, so then I feel more confident with it, otherwise I'm not going to make sense in the scene, and once I mess up a little bit, it kind of sticks with me and I'm kind of like kick myself in the head for a bit, which makes the pace go off because then I think, oh come on, what's the next line, don't mess up, don't mess up. So I need to stay more focused within a scene. I need to think, okay, if I mess up, it's not the end of the world. Just make sure that you're going to tell a story. Make sure that the relationship is still there within the character. Make sure that you have the space, and just make sure that the audience understands what you're getting at. I think my strength from today's lesson would be just adapting to the space. Also, I think just learning the amount of lines that I've learned in within 2 days is pretty good as well. Because I only messed up about twice. Also, I think my relationship with James Dean has got a lot better as well. I think my weakness for this lesson would be just the general energy within all the scenes, and also imaginary props. So in scene 9, I go and get money out of the piggy bank, and all they could see was my hand grabbing something, and that was it. So I need to make clear justification that I'm going to get this prop and I'm getting it for a reason, and then I can tell the audience why I'm doing that.